Taste funny.
Hello, and you.
Hello,
you three, and welcome to the Tastes Funny podcast, episode 16. The podcast it is a podcast in which myself, Joe McLachlan,
and myself, Peter McHugh,
listen to an album from each other's collection and then have a chat about it.
Yeah.
How are you, Pete?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking. It's been an interesting musical month, that's for sure.
That's good.
Got a new Devin Townsend album out. That's bending my mind in too many directions, basically, and it's really, really good.
Yeah.
So apart from Vicovia, I've mostly listened to that.
Okay. I'm glad you found time then.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Like, I had to take a break from listening to Vicovia to go listen to the new Devin thing, and I was like, I should probably just not listen too much to the new Devin album and concentrate on getting this banged out for this week, and then I could indulge. But it was pretty hard.
Yeah. Oh well, I'm sorry that it's been a chore for you.
No, it's not. No, nothing like that. It's just I was really excited to get into the new Devin album. It's like all my presents are coming at once at the moment because there's a new Destrage album coming out as well, which I am very, very much excited for. And
I feel like they get mentioned literally every week.
All the time, and I've not given you an album by them yet, and I have also come to this conclusion, which is why I think the next sort of angry album you get, sort of 2 weeks from now, will be a Destrage album. I've just got to narrow down which one of the two ones that I might give you or give you.
Excellent. This is going to be. There's a lot of Destrage fans who listen to this.
There's probably
who will be thinking.
There's probably
just get on with
absolutely no Destrage fans. Like, Destrage are such a teeny weeny little band, realistically speaking. Like, when we saw them, I don't know if I've told you this, we saw them at Bloodstock.
Right. Okay.
Me and two of my friends, James and Trouty, who they won't care if I use their names. I don't know why I'm like trying to cover them up or anything. But yeah, me, James and Trouty saw them at Bloodstock 2 years ago, and when we went, we obviously all took our Destrage t-shirts, and James and Trouty had the ones, special pre-order ones from the second album. And when we were there, we saw them live. It was all really cool. And then we'd gone to watch Zakk Wylde's band. I forgot his fucking name.
Black Label Society.
Black Label Society. Yeah, that's
Get me knowing who that is.
Yeah, good go you. They were just,
I've got excellent memory for names. I don't particularly care for the music.
They were playing before Rob Zombie on the main stage anyway, and so we were waiting for Rob Zombie to come on, and stood there watching him. And who should be bobbing through the audience but the entirety of Destrage, just chilling with beers. And we were obviously like, we got to go say hello. They're in the crowd. They're fair game. So we rocked up. We said, hey guys, we really love your music. We're all big fans. We bought all the albums, sort of thing. And they were like, you are the two guys. Like, excuse me? You are the two guys in all of England who pre-ordered our second album. And James and Trout were just like, are you kidding? Yeah, no, they knew who they were. It was like the weirdest
Mate,
thing.
I have your address.
Yeah, I know you.
Where are they from?
Italy. And
right,
they're super cool dudes. They let us drink their beer, and then we hung out for a bit during Black Label Society, and then we went our separate ways. It was super rad. They were really cool guys. So I'm really looking forward to giving you some of their music.
Yeah. I'm more excited now knowing that they're quite nice blokes.
No, that's super nice.
For some reason, as you know, that for me is a big plus.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Anything? Have you listened to anything else, or has it literally just been those two albums?
It's pretty much since I last saw you, because we talked a bit about music I had been listening to. Me and Joe met up off pod and just did some friend stuff.
It was weird. I didn't like it.
No, I didn't know. I was the whole time I was like, I wish someone was recording this.
Yeah, I found it really difficult. But the problem is that we hung out for a few hours. And it would have been me that had to edit it, and it would not have.
Oh, did you? I don't know. You feel free to chop this the fuck out if you didn't. But did you listen to that live Yob thing?
No, I didn't get around to it. I'm afraid. I'm sorry, man. This is the thing though. You said a 3-song set.
Yeah.
And for most other bands, I reckon I could fit that in while I'm having a poo. Yeah. But for Yob, that's
half an hour.
That's a dead length.
I'll tell you what, it's a hell of a thing. I just recommend.
I definitely will try and get. I definitely will try and get to it.
Because I've not seen too many live recordings of them that are really good quality, and because that's sort of a studio live as opposed to a live.
Yeah.
It's really
was it on like
recording.
T4 or?
It's one of those sort of
I'm gonna put that now. It's got as that's you can cite that the internet. Yob played on T4, and then Gino D'Acampo did some cooking. I don't know. I think he's a chef. I don't know if he's a chef. Yeah, to be fair, I've not been listening to much either. To be fair. I'm listening to a bit of Against Me. We've had this conversation already off. But I recently finished reading Laura Jane Grace from Against Me's autobiography, which was a fantastic book because it contains two of my favourite things, which was sort of punk rock and gender politics. And I was like, I think this book is written for me specifically. So I enjoyed that. I've been listening to their album Transgender Dysphoria Blues. It's a very good album. It's a very good album. But I kind of feel like she comes off like a bit of a dick for most of the thing, but it might have just been because she was very unhappy in her life.
Yes.
But I don't know much. But there was a lovely moment in that where I think I have told you this already, that she cites Chumbawamba as one of her favourite bands. And it's really fucking weird to hear them mentioned in a conversation that doesn't involve you or me. Like, that's really strange because they're really not someone that comes up. Especially because presumably the time, like this is post the situation where they were gigging together, and the situation would have been that they would, like we're talking post Tub Thumping. So like I wonder how that was received. I keep meaning to look this up and see how Tub Thumping was received when it came out, when they would sort of all their anarcho punk fans going, "You fucking what? What is this?"
I don't think Tub Thumping was the first thing they'd done in that direction.
No, certainly not.
So,
but it's certainly
like maybe when that, I think that stylistic change probably happened quite a lot earlier. I don't really know.
No, to be fair, if you listen to their albums in chronological order, which I've tried to do, and there's a lot of them, so it's difficult. But if you listen to their, they do get sort of more dancey, poppy as it goes on. But it's still weird. Like it's still weird to have started out as that band.
I mean, they never stopped being weird. They're still weird now. They're a weird band.
True. I listened to a bit of Big Nasty.
Why?
I don't know. I just sort of feel like he kept turning up on stuff, and he seemed like he was quite funny. So I thought I'll give his music a try. I didn't really. I fell asleep, so I didn't get very far. I've listened to the Captain Marvel soundtrack. That's good. Lots of 90s sort of punk and ska sort of girl bands that were very. It's good. It's the 90s version of the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack.
Right.
That that's essentially what you've got there. You've got a bit of No Doubt, a bit of who else is on there? Elastica, who did the Trigger Happy TV theme tune. Celebrity Skin by Hole. You can't fucking go wrong with that. That's an absolute tune. Yeah. Garbage, that sort of thing. Right. And it may be the first time I've consciously listened to Bikini Kill as well. So which I do mean to keep chasing up.
This is one of the things we were talking about, because I was saying I need to go listen to La Tigra. I need to do that because I feel like I ought to. Yeah. It's just one of those things that I feel like I ought to do.
My current other favourite music thing that I'm very excited about, literally just in that exists, I don't think I'm particularly bothered about the music, is that Sting and Shaggy have an album out together, and I don't understand how that happened, but I really like that it did. And I was a bit like, they're playing the O2 Academy in Newcastle, which is weird because it's like Sting wouldn't be playing the O2 Academy, so that's quite a niche thing.
Yeah, that seems
like it's quite.
Sting playing the O2 Academy, but then again, I imagine they have some massive venue.
Well, I think what it is
that, and it's like Shaggy would never play this venue.
Well, I think that's it, isn't it? Is that realistically they've kind of had to they've middle grounded it. So Shaggy presumably doesn't have much of a following in this country anymore. I wouldn't have thought. I don't know. It's certainly not a following. People go, "Oh, I really like that one song he did 20 years ago."
Yeah.
Maybe those two songs. He did Angel as well, to be fair.
The one where it wasn't him.
The one where it wasn't him. So, I mean, it wasn't even him. So
yeah, he didn't even do it.
So it's his best song and it wasn't even him. So that's a lovely, so it's it's just a fun reggae album. It's not, I don't think it's groundbreaking, but it's weird. It's really fucking odd. And I watched a clip of them where they were playing a game where they had to say which one of them had done a certain thing. And the question was, which one of you served in the military? And Shaggy said it was me. Shaggy said it was him. And Sting said it wasn't me. I was in the police. Which is a fucking...
Hey!
That's a great joke from Sting there.
Stop it, Dad.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was like, that's worth it. I'm now going to buy that album based on that joke. There's another album that I've got that I was listening to, which is Room 25 by an artist called No Name. And she is a Chicago sort of rapper, poet. It's fucking great.
Okay.
You'd really like it.
Yeah.
And I'm in two minds whether to just say you should go and listen to it or to just give it to you.
I mean, if you link me up, I'll just go listen to it.
I'll do that. Because I think it's one of those ones where I don't know it well enough to feel like I can quiz you on it.
Right.
But I feel like you should listen to that.
Okay.
And then according to this, I also listened to Heaven Upside Down and Eat Me, Drink Me by Marilyn Manson, but I don't think I've got 30 seconds into either of them. So, she's taking his makeup off now, isn't he? So he's just a man called Brian.
There's not been a lot of good Manson stuff recently.
Recently, we're talking about 20 years, aren't we? Really?
I mean, no, I'm talking recently. Like he
20 years.
No, he put an album out. Oh, hang on. When would you say? What would you say his last decent?
Well, the
album
last one. The thing is, I'm not a huge Manson fan anyway, and I think we've talked before about the fact that
you cut off at Golden Age, don't you?
But I only really like that album.
Yeah, see, I cut off earlier than you then because I'm cutting off at Mechanical Animals. But in any case, yeah, Hollywood, Mechanical Animals, and Antichrist Superstar are the only 3 albums by Manson I actually give a shit about, and after that, it can. Don't really care.
I just think he has this really annoying voice that he does.
Just the last
where he records all his vocals really close to the microphone, and it's supposed to be creepy, but he sounds old. That's my take on it.
Fair enough. All right.
Feel free to put together some industrial
and then talk like an old man.
And then fire that over. I'll layer that.
Rock.
I'll layer that under, and then we can talk about that. Yeah. And aside from that, we've been listening to the lullaby renditions of Fleetwood Mac from the Rockabye Baby catalog.
Oh yeah.
Fleetwood Mac, right, are one of those bands where every time I hear a Fleetwood Mac song, I go, oh, is this Fleetwood Mac as well? There's loads of ones where, the one that always gets me, and for some reason I never seem to remember it's Fleetwood Mac, but it happens at least once every couple of months. I'll hear, Thunder Only Happens. Thunder Only Happens. Yeah. I spent a good long time thinking that was Texas. And it's not Texas.
No, it's Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, very famously Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
There's loads of them. There's loads. Yeah. That I don't know they're Fleetwood Mac.
So thank you Naboo from the Mighty Boosh for convincing me to actually go and sit and listen to some Fleetwood Mac, because there's that really great scene in the first series of the Boosh where a zoo owner guy comes up to Naboo's little tent and he's got his headphones on. He's like, "Are you listening to Shaman?" And he's like, "Fleetwood Mac. Rumours? No, Tusk." And he looks disgusted at him and walks away. And I didn't get it, so I went and listened.
I'll say now, I literally I've never clocked that scene because I don't think I knew who Fleetwood Mac was at the time.
Yeah,
there we go.
First couple of episodes, I think, somewhere in there. But yeah, so then I did go listen to some Fleetwood Mac. But thanks for bringing them up, because you've reminded me. I need to add them to my recently started old school cool playlist.
Yeah. If anybody's listening who's never heard Fleetwood Mac,
go listen to Fleetwood Mac.
Go listen to some Fleetwood. What are you fucking listening to this shit for?
Let's listen to Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah,
they're really good.
We're only doing this now because we have listened to Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
So now we've got that out of the way, we can have a chat.
Once you've listened to Fleetwood Mac, go listen to Chumbawamba.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we done?
Probably.
Excellent.
Got nothing else to say. It's going to be a long hour, innit?
Jingle!
So, Peter.
Hello.
What have I been listening to this month?
That is a tough question, Joe.
No, sorry, I'll rephrase it.
Yeah.
What have I been listening to?
What?
Why have I been listening to this
You've been listening to the delicate and demure sounds of Melt Banana's Cell-Scape.
Fuck you. So I've been listening to Cell-Scape by Melt Banana. So are you aware that my only prior to this conversation, my only reference for Melt Banana comes from you, because we there is a song called "Shining On" by the band Big D and the Kids Table.
There is, yes.
Have we already talked about the fact that this is the case?
Oh God, yes, you finally get this joke now, I guess.
Well, this is the thing, right? So I don't know, because I'm aware that this is a more accessible album. So I'm aware the joke may not apply. So the line in the song is, "My Melt Banana CD was all scratched up."
Yeah.
And you told me that the joke is you wouldn't be able to tell.
You wouldn't really be able to tell.
Is that a joke, or is it just that he might have been listening to Melt Banana?
Hey, in the fact that the thing
because
is,
he's having a bad day.
It could go either way, but the way I read that line is that like he's being a bit facetious there and saying, "Oh, my Melt Banana CD's all scratched up," because they're so, especially the older Melt Banana albums, it gets noisier. They got cleaner as they went on and more songwritingly recognisable. Their old stuff can be very much just chaos. So I always sort of thought of it as like a bit of a sort of like, yeah, it's all scratched up. It was a Melt Banana CD. It doesn't really matter, does it? Because it was just going to be obnoxious noise anyway.
That's right. So with that in mind,
yeah,
I was not looking forward to this.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's an unreasonable.
Not at all.
With the knowledge I had, I don't think it was fair that I don't think it was unfair that I went into this.
I think going into any noise rock album with a healthy sense of trepidation and worry is wise.
Yeah. So with the last set of recordings we did, we had a double Australian
we've got
podcast.
With double. What are we this time?
With this time,
female fronted.
Female fronted, yes, but also bands that are now just reduced to their core 2 members.
Oh really?
So this is made up.
Because I was. Oh, never mind. I'll keep that for mine.
We'll talk about Vukovi when we get to that. Obviously, technically speaking, according to the canon of this podcast, you don't know that that's what you're listening to yet.
Oh,
because
who are Vukovi?
Precisely. So I'll recommend them at the end of this podcast, Pete. And
sure.
then shortly after that,
I don't want to burst your bubble, but I talked about them quite a lot in the preamble.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna cut that out. That's fine.
Don't.
Right, okay. So now... So they are now just the core duo, Melt Banana, as they currently exist, of Yasuko Onuki, or otherwise known as Yako, on vocals, and Ichiru Agata.
Yep.
I'm going to edit it so I say that right.
You did say it mostly right. Yeah,
that
sounds fine.
Yeah, on guitar.
Yeah.
But at the time of making this album, it also included Rika Hamamoto,
who is
bass.
an absolute saint, and it's one of the big reasons I gave you this album.
Yeah, I totally picked up on that from very early on. I picked up on that because, like, I'm a bass player. I do tend to latch onto it, especially with an album like this. And I think I said about King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard as well. That for me, the simplicity of the bass and drums helped me to latch on to the more complex elements of that album.
Yes.
And I think that was the case
it's a
here as
grounding
well.
is what that provides.
Yeah,
sure.
it provides. It's a bit where I'm going, okay, well, at least this is normal. This is fine.
The thing is, the albums that come after this without her on don't really... it's not that they don't have the bass lines, they do. It's just that they're being either programmed or they're being played by somebody else, and they sound almost identical, but she has a very... I don't know. She's just... flowy, and it feels her bass riffs are really full of energy and they feel good.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to give him one where it's got the
I
real
will
McCoy.
say from the first moment of Shield Your Eyes, a Beast in the Well, Shield for Your Eyes, a Beast in the Well in Your Hand. I'm not.
Their song titles are ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm gonna be reducing them to the first couple of words.
That's fine. I would have just called it
a shield,
or a Beast in the Well of Your Hand or whatever.
I'm gonna call
Shield
it
for Your Eyes.
Your Hand.
Your Hand.
From the moment that song started, I was bouncing on the heels of my feet, as opposed to the heels of any other part of my body.
Heels of your head.
The heels. I was bouncing on my head heels. Yeah. I really was. I'm really glad that was there, and having not yet had a chance to sort of broaden my experience of them into sort of past or future albums.
Yes.
From this point, I felt like I could see why you'd give me this album.
Yeah.
So a couple of little bits. I've tried to read a few interviews. They don't have a huge amount out there.
They're not very talky.
No. Well, the interview I sent you an interview last night with Agata, and he said he's basically just one word answers in this guitar magazine. There was one, my favourite one. What was the one? The question was if you could own any guitar but from any musician, past or present, what would you own? Whose would you own and why? And he said, I'm not really into that. And I feel like that it wasn't entering into the spirit. Like they seem a bit no bullshit. Like he clearly was just like, oh, it's a stupid question. I'm not getting involved in that.
Yeah, he does like workshops and stuff, and he's sort of like that in person. To be fair, he's quite to the point and concise and blunt. I like the fact that he went through that entire interview barely saying anything, and then he was like, the one question that he decided to go off on was the guy went, so what is the real difference between a lead guitarist and a rhythm guitarist? And he was like, is there a difference? And then just blah, there was like a decent paragraph there for that one answer, and then everything else was just like, yeah, nope, don't care.
Yeah, basically, it was great.
2 pedals and a big fucking amplifier. Yeah. That's it.
It was great. It was really good. I enjoyed that a lot. So there's a couple of so okay. I feel like I've started just getting into some sort of minutiae very early on. So we'll just run through track by track.
Sure.
As per usual.
Let's do this thing.
So I was confused. The opening of the album is confusing.
Yes.
It's Phantasmagoria. It's one of my favourite The Damned albums. But basically, I literally for the first minute and a half of this album, I felt like any minute now. I'm quite a big fan of the of Paul McGann's Eighth Doctor, who only featured on he's only been in the TV series very briefly as a thing for the 50th anniversary celebrations of Doctor Who, and he was the Doctor Who featured in the movie, which is fucking awful. He's very good in it, but it's a shit film. But I literally felt like any moment now, like this soundscape felt like the opening to, oh, what planet are we on, Doctor? Well, Lucy, it's funny that you ask, because we're actually on the planet of Japan. I don't know, so like, but I literally just felt like any minute now, I felt like something doesn't seem right. No, you're absolutely right, Lucy. It really doesn't. I think there's something up. There's definitely something horrible going on here. I imagine there's a war or a monster or something.
Yeah.
So I was genuinely going to write some dialogue so that we could do that and I could layer it in, but I didn't because I couldn't be asked.
Fair enough.
But it's a nice intro. You know, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not.
There's some electric.
Yeah, just not. This will come back a bit more towards the end of the album, obviously, but I don't have much to say about.
There's not much to say about it.
That's fine then. I'm always thinking with stuff like this, whether from a production point of view or from a programming point of view, that you might have more to say about than I do. But
I mean, not really in this case because it's just a big sort of ambient washing.
I liked it jumping from. I liked it washing across.
The panning, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the.
Yeah, and then there's the big rushing sort of Doppler effect thing.
And it sounds like a spaceship crashing. And that I think that's really that was where that was
that
was the Doctor Who moment for me.
Weird sci-fi vibes, I suppose.
So we'll just move straight on then to the actual beginning of the songs. A shield for your eyes, a beast in the well on your hand, or shield for your eyes, as I will continue to call it now. Again, lovely rumbly bass, and again, as with King Giz, it just felt like the bass just keeps you where you're supposed to be, while the other weird shit, because the scratchy, horrible guitar noises. Have you read a thing about the fact that when he's creating his guitar noises, one of his inspirations for that is when he achieves a thing on a video game, he makes a noise and then he translates that noise onto his guitar, and then that becomes a riff.
I did not know.
Whatever noise he makes in excitement when he's finished a level, specifically, as cited in this interview, was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. I really liked that he's just, because that reminded me of again, I think we've briefly touched on Dragon Force before.
Yeah.
Not a fan, but one of their sort of quite famous techniques for learning how to play the guitar is playing along with sort of old Nintendo video games, 8-bit tracks and stuff like that.
Oh God, that makes a lot of sense for their musical.
Because it's all very
Yeah.
So it kind of is like the opposite of that. Because these are not comparable in any other way.
Oh God, no! I didn't realise until I read the interview you'd sent me that he'd never. Because I could have guessed, but it was just he was like never took formal guitar lessons.
What?
No, I have no interest in it.
Yeah.
And then whenever they mention technique, he's like, I don't care about technique, because he's approaching the instrument from such a radically different direction.
It's a really strange. Yeah, it's one of those people who just, I don't think I could ever. Like people say, Hendrix played his guitar upside down and all that sort of shit. No, this guy is really. He has no concept of how a guitar is supposed to work. He's just kind of come at it like he's never seen one before.
Yeah.
Like if you gave an acoustic guitar to a man who'd lived in a forest for their entire life, they'd still get more of a normal sound out of it. Than
he's definitely trying to take it to, because like there's a lot of sounds on the album that sound like they're synthesized, but I know full well have been done with guitar and pedals, and a lot of sort of the more siren-like sounds, I guess, like sound like police sirens and stuff. That's got to be a synthesizer, but it's not. It's him
all,
just like
it's all him
mashing away at his guitar.
It's certainly an impressive thing, and it's not. I think this album gets weirder as it goes on, because it starts out. I felt like I was listening to sort of like mid-80s sort of US thrash,
very thrashy, punky,
like Black Flag or something.
The bass line's holding it down.
Well, exactly.
Like that really fast, punky sounding bass.
Yeah. And I don't think that was not harmed by the fact that her vocal style, for all it's very fucking odd. Have you ever listened to any Shonen Knife?
Yes, I have listened to Shonen Knife.
Yeah. So again, I might be being racist, because they're the only other Japanese band I know.
No, she's just a really squeaky Japanese lady.
I think that there is a similarity to be drawn between their vocal styles. Yeah, very just sort of squeaky. None of what she's saying makes any fucking sense.
Really high pitched, shouty female vocals. Just that's what Japanese female punk vocals will sound like. Apparently, it's just what it is.
Basically,
yeah.
So it starts out very. I did do a quick sweep of the lyrics of this album. I'm only going to mention them in a couple of songs, they don't make any fucking sense.
No.
There is a brief mention in a couple of things that I read, because I tried to read quite a bit about this album because I really wasn't able to pick much out of it.
Yeah, I did think you'd struggle.
Hard work.
Yeah.
To really listen to, that was tough. So, but there's a lot of stuff they were saying about a lot of the songs were about video games, and there are a couple of bits like I think it's in the second. Things, well, actually, I'll tell you what, we may as well move straight on to track 2.
Let's go.
A dreamer who is too weak to face up to, which is not a full sentence. That just cuts off.
Yeah,
it's really annoying.
I imagine that it makes more sense in Japanese.
Let's say that.
Like, because like when you look at a sentence that means the same thing in English and French, but the verbs.
I don't know though, because are they translate? Are the song titles? Because she writes in English. Because she said her vocal style fits English better, apparently.
Okay.
So I would also hazard a guess that the song titles are originally in English.
Maybe.
So what I think is that, like the lyrics, it's just bollocks. So that's my. The lyrics are very snappy little bit at the end of the sort of chorus, like you can't really pick much out, but I can do what I want, I can die when I wish.
Yeah, is
the sort of little shouted bit at the end of the chorus. As soon as I knew that was about that some of the lyrics were about video games, I sort of went, okay. Yeah. I wonder if I'm picking that out there again. I might be just transposing my post knowledge onto that.
Yeah,
because it might not mean anything, but it felt like it could do. It's very frantic.
Already more deep a lyrical understanding of Melt Banana than I'd ever had.
I'm not going to qualify it as an understanding, but thank you.
Because I just don't care about what. Because it's not the most important thing in the music for me.
No, and nor is it in this album. It's not for me either. But I always find people's writing process interesting. So when you do find little bits, because there's so little, there's so little about how they make the music. They're really not an easy band to read up on.
No.
So
neither of Fakovi, by the way.
No. I am also aware of that.
Practically impossible, as it happens.
Yeah. Though they are arguably less famous.
Much.
So that gives them an excuse.
Yeah.
Melt Banana are very famous in the right circles. Mm-hmm. So you'd think
within the noise rock.
I was hoping I did find an article that looked like quite a lengthy bit of writing about them, but it was in German. So
do you not have auto translate on your Google Chrome?
My Google Chrome was not working at the time. I was using Internet Explorer, so I had to just. No. So that's the end of that. So again, some fantastic bit, but especially about a minute and a half in, the bass just is fucking like. Anyway, I don't need to say any more about that. It's just fucking great. And I really couldn't believe the drums were programmed, because they are. There is an argument apparently that some of them is the bloke. It's the bloke from Municipal Waste.
He was their touring drummer in the US for that tour, but the drums on the album are completely programmed.
Yeah. And
they are for the 2 albums that come after it, but they again, much like with the bassist, they used to have a drummer.
Yeah.
Way back when.
Yeah. They but these are it's not a sound you associate. Certainly, it's not a sound I associate with programmed drums. It's something that, like, when you think programmed drums, like, to be fair, the stuff for those who don't personally know Pete, he makes lovely little sort of ambienty kind of electronic-y stuff that I probably wouldn't be able to define. But the drums that you were playing me earlier from the stuff, that doesn't sound like it's programmed drums. It's not the way that I would associate programming with drums. I always think of like a drum machine, like a much more
very stilted.
A lot more straightforward.
Yeah, and there's ways around that in modern music production. But for that, what they did there, a lot of the time it doesn't sound programmed unless you're listening for it, because every drum hit in that album is just like 100 miles per hour. It's like they're playing the drums with sledgehammers, every single hit, but it really becomes obvious when they start pushing it or pushing the limit, I guess. They do like drum rolls, but it's too fast, and because they're being intentionally they're not trying to obfuscate the fact that it's electronic. You can hear it sort of being too fast. You know what I mean? Like they just becomes buzz.
Yeah.
Because it's just repeating the same sample. It sounds like it's stuck. And they do that a few times on a couple of songs where it's like, oh, that's really obviously not a real drummer, because your hand can't do that, and it wouldn't sound like that even if you did play that fast. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
and it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's not like they're trying to hide that fact.
No.
But it really. Yeah,
it's not obvious. I agree. I didn't realise for a really long time.
Like you would have definitely. I think anyone would be forgiven for going, oh, their drummer's really good.
Yeah. Stamina.
The Drumbot 5000 over in the corner over there. To be fair though, you see some drummers, like I remember watching, who was it? Sonic Boom 6. Their fucking drummer, like, you know, sometimes you watch a band, and I'm sure you probably have seen this more often than I have, especially as a drummer, but like metal drummers, whenever you watch them, you just go, you are working really fucking hard there.
It's weird. Like, recently I've been watching a drummer who works very fucking hard, and it's related via Musical DNA to Melt Banana, because it's another noise rock band. I don't know if you've ever seen anything, like any recordings of them. Lightning Bolt?
Nope.
No. They're sort of a two-man noise rock unit, and they make plenty of sound for just being two people. It's a bassist with banjo strings on the bottom string of his bass so that you can sort of do higher stuff, and then a drummer. And I would describe the way he drums as hardcore jazz punk. It's really freeform and improvisational, because basically the bassist's just droning away. He's just wall of distortion droning away over there. So he's got a lot of freedom he doesn't have to stick to a time signature. He doesn't even have to stick to a tempo if he doesn't want to. He's just all over the goddamn gourd, but he's going for it. Like, he is hitting everything as hard as possible. There's a little studio video of him just messing around, and then next to his drum kit is the pile of broken drumsticks, and it's huge. It's a huge pile of completely shattered drumsticks, because he's just like, ah! I might put some on later once we finish recording, but yeah.
That's how we'll play a little bit in. Should we play a little bit in now?
A little bit of Lightning Bolt? Yeah, sure.
I'm sort of just going to race through, because there's not a huge amount more I can say. Like,
I don't know, because
I'm kind of going. Feel free to ask questions.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go through the tracks in order. My notes are always. I always kind of do this as a track by track, but actually the notes don't specifically. I think it kind of tends to be that the order, as I was listening to the album, they're the order the thoughts occurred to me in, rather than notes specifically about the songs. So do you have any questions at this point, Pete?
What's the most challenging thing so far for you at this? You know, when you've listened through this, like, what was it? Was it the vocals? Was it just the overall intensity and speed? Was it the ridiculous? Because like, I know there's one track, and I can't remember if it's A Beast in the Well of Your Hand, or what's the other one with a really long name? There's one other one with like a properly long name.
Is it A Hunter in the Rain to cut the neck up in the present shape?
Yeah, that one. One of them, like, when it gets to the chorus, one entire side of your headphones just becomes basically white noise.
Yeah.
And it sort of sounds like someone's ramming a drill down your ear
No.
just on one side.
I
And I love that. Like, that gives me a massive musical Woody. But I can imagine for you probably went, oh, fucking hell, my ear. Right?
Well, the thing is, right, yeah, so at this point in the album, so we're only 3 songs in,
Yeah.
one of which is a nice little ambient Doctor Who thing.
Yeah.
At this point in the album, I'm thinking, oh, this is actually really good. Like, this is nowhere near what I expected.
Yeah.
It's very accessible. It's just basically just Japanese, it feels like a Japanese punk band.
Yeah, very noisy.
Just very, just noisy shit. I don't think I understand any of it, but it's certainly not. The difficulty for me came later because
Okay.
like I say, I think
so what did you find difficult then in the album, generally speaking?
Well, talking specifically about the song.
I mean, if you want to wait until you get down there, then that's fine.
Well, no, talking specifically about the song that you had just referred to,
Yeah.
A Hunter in the Rain to Cut the Neck Up in the Present Shape.
Yeah.
A Hunter in the Rain.
Yeah, let's just call it
my first note on this is, by this time, trying to write and pay attention, I'm getting tired. I feel like...
Okay, so maybe like
it's quite...
Just as the album wears on, it's worn you down.
I think it's one of those, I liked...
Because it's not long.
It's only about half an hour, and then there's about 10 minutes of ambience at the end as well.
Yeah.
So that cuts it down. So I think in actual fact, the album itself is only about 26 minutes long.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially, they're sort of, a lot of people have referred to them as being almost grindcore in a way, because they just blast the songs at you in very short, fast bursts.
I was thinking about this a lot, the fact that I would have just qualified these for all the weirdness of it.
Yeah, yeah.
For all I'm not up on genres and stuff. For the weirdness of it, I would have just said this was
hardcore
punk.
Yeah, well, I mean, hardcore punk and grindcore have a lot of DNA in common genre-wise. They feed into one another.
So like, but there's no, because there obviously, there's a bit of programming in there. There's a bit of like,
and there's no growled vocals. Or anything like that.
So it just feels like I'm listening to the stuff that I would never have been as big a fan of, but would have appeared on the compilations with stuff I did like.
Sure, yeah. Okay.
So like, I'd have been looking forward to like Bad Religion, No FX, and this is Black Flag.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a huge Black Flag. I don't dislike them, but they're not Flat Pack. Did I tell you about the time I had to assemble Henry Rollins from scratch? Jesus, that was one thing that came up actually while I was trying to watch them. I tried to watch some live footage of these and tried to watch them. There isn't. Again, there's not a huge deal.
There's some on YouTube.
There's some, but it's not always easy to watch.
Great quality.
But one of the videos that came up was this long interview. It was like just basically a list, like a lineup of sort of punk icons. So John Lydon was there, Henry Rollins was there. I think Marky Ramone, must be Marky because he's the only one who's not dead. But like, there was this big long. I listened to about the first 4 or 5 minutes of this thing. It was just John Lydon just talking shit, and everybody else just sitting around him going, "Fucking hell, how is he so popular? What a wanker!" And then and he tells Henry Rollins, he was like, "I thought the music was bollocks, mate, but you're all right, you." And you go, "Oh, he's hammered." And I literally couldn't get more than 3 minutes into the interview. It was awful. It was really hard.
But presumably it had something to do with Melt Banana at some point.
No.
No.
Not that I'm aware of. It was just, I think the interview was called John Lydon versus Marky Ramone, so I'm assuming they had a fight at some point, but I didn't get as far as that. It's probably to do with the fact, because I think I think the Ramones tend to subscribe to the view that punk was started in the States, and obviously John Lydon is of the opinion that it started over here. I think the Ramones are correct, because if you've got
technically speaking,
if you're looking at Iggy and the Stooges, really are the ones that, and there would have been other bands that weren't as famous, but Iggy and the Stooges is kind of the punk in all but name.
And I would never take away from Mr. Iggy.
No,
he's made some flipping excellent music.
Yeah. I remember I think the first album I listened to, I think might be the only full Iggy Pop album I've listened to, was Skull Ring, which came out, God, that must have been 15-20 years ago now. But there was I think Billy Joe Armstrong did a couple of tracks. He was featured on a couple of songs on that album. Yeah. So obviously that was me going, oh, I like Green Day.
Maybe
I'll have a listen to
the
this.
Stooges.
Yeah, well, to be fair though, Billy Joe Armstrong is one of those people, he puts out some really odd. He's got a lovely, if you've never, it might or might not interest you, but he's got a lovely album called Foreverly, which is just him and Norah Jones covering
Nora Jones.
I know, right? Him and Nora Jones covering Everly Brothers songs. It's fucking beautiful.
That sounds great. Yeah, I bet his voice is amazing for that.
No, it's perfect. It's so good. And apparently he's going to be featuring on the new Morrissey's got a new cover album coming out as well. And Billy Joe Armstrong's going. Yeah, now I know. Like to think, I'm trying to avoid. Oh well, that's the thing. I didn't listen to his new album because I was like, for fuck's sake, Morrissey, stop being such a racist. And then this sounds really interesting. So I'm going to be like, oh fuck, I'm going to have to listen to this, aren't I?
Oh dear.
Anyway,
Yes.
I have gone massively off piece.
Melt bananas.
Yeah, melt bananas indeed. Challenging wise, I think it was just I found it very wearing as an album. I found it quite difficult to get through. And like, not to be fair, actually, I'm going to contradict myself here completely. Shocker. And I actually need to put a little klaxon in every time I do that. Except that the podcast would literally just be
klaxon.
It would literally just be klaxons though. So. Because what you get with me is just a stream of consciousness. There's absolutely no forethought. This is why I have to have notes, because I will literally just talk forever. And even with notes,
he's still talking.
There's still a danger of that.
Right, so hang on. Right. So contradiction is
that actually listening to this album just in the background, and having it on while I'm going about my business is actually really easy to listen to for me.
It's surprisingly easy to listen to
for
what it is. Yeah, sitting down and trying to analyse it and really focusing on
trying to write about it was really hard. But actually having it on, I could have it on.
The last time I really sat and listened to a lot of Melt Banana all at once was after I just got off the flight home from Canada, and I had to get the train from Heathrow Airport back.
Is it just Canada's so lovely that you had to listen to something a bit more aggressive?
I've been listening to it now in the Thrack while we were going around Canada, because I was in my phase of listening to a lot of it now. But for whatever reason, I decided to listen to Melt Banana, and I just jammed 3 albums on at once and listened through all 3 back to back on this train with my eyes shut, feeling sorry for myself because I was just jet lagged to tits. And it was a surprisingly nice and chill experience, considering how full on the music is. It's weird.
I agree. I think it sort of borders on ambience, on the fact that it's so difficult to pick out any certain thing, and there are a few amazing bass hooks, but apart from that there's not much to sort of latch onto. So in the bits where there isn't a great bass hook, what you've got is just sort of noise. Essentially. It's just some quite good punk music essentially, but I'm sure there's more to it than that. But if they don't do any fucking interviews, Pete, how am I supposed to know what I'm supposed to think about it?
They don't tell me.
It's really hard. I'm very impressionable, and I really need some other people's opinions to help. It's really difficult. Now I'm aware I'm going to move sort of slightly onto the notes I've got here for Lost Parts, Stinging Me So Cold, so on track 4.
I like that track.
Yeah, I did enjoy this. I don't really have much to say. Again, I don't have much to say about it. It's nice, and I enjoyed it. I am aware that this one again is very specifically very thrash punky kind of stuff again. And what I've got for this is more to do with the fact that I'm aware that for them this is a very hi-fi album. It still, this track particularly, sounds like for me the stuff we were going to see in basements of pubs when we were 14, 15 years old.
It's really,
like, this
really
is very
lo-fi.
This is really lo-fi, scratchy. And I wondered, to be fair, and I feel like I'm very hung up on the fact that I didn't get on with Future of the Left, because they do seem like the sort of thing I should have, and it bothers me.
I'm going to give you another Fotol album at some point, I'm sure. Because I mean, you should probably just go off your own back and listen to
I probably should, you know.
I've
got
stuff to do.
Restricted amount of time. I wondered if possibly the crispness and the angularity of Future of the Left, of that specific album, it doesn't feel like there's any. I don't know. I don't really
soul
know
to it, or
no. Maybe that. I don't know. Maybe that's the thing, because this is, because you can pick out every fucking word. You're aware that what he's saying is bollocks. Whereas with this, she's shouting, and there feels like there's some emotion in it.
Yeah.
And whereas his is like fucking bullshit poetry. And again, I'm aware that I'm just kind of making. I haven't really. It was very much an unfinished thought.
Yeah.
But because I'm still, when you just. Like, there's something that you absolutely on paper should like.
Yeah, but
I'm really hung up on the fact that for whatever reason it just wasn't for me.
It just didn't. Yeah, well, that's fine. That
no,
happens.
I know it is. I know it's fine.
I have that problem with a band because I've already mentioned the new Devin Townsend album that came out, blah, 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 blah. It's very heavily guested because it's just him. He's got a lot of people coming in to do bits on it, and one of the people he got in is a guy called Nolly Get Good, which is the most try-hard name I've ever heard in my life. Get Good.
Nolly.
And Nolly Get Good. And he's in a band called Periphery. He's the bass player.
Not even Ollie. Nolly.
Nolly, yeah. And he's the bass...
A backwards jump on a skateboard.
The bass from the nose, actually.
Yeah, from the nose.
Backwards. Anyway, he plays bass in a band called Periphery, and I have previously watched him do like bass playthroughs of the songs. He is a fucking machine. The rest of the band are all musical robots from the future. They play ridiculous time signature, genty prog metal, and they don't even do 100% clean vocals. They have growled vocals. By all rights, I should bum this band. I should love them, and a lot of my friends do. They just don't. Something about it just doesn't sit right. I don't like the cleans when they come in. They're too generic. I find that over time these really sort of, I guess, Meshuggah-esque riffs just wear on me, and I'm just like, I can't listen to this for extended periods. I can't. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And it's weird because I listen to other bands that do very similar things, very, very similar, and I love them.
Yeah.
Destrage.
I'd love to know. Like, I feel like there must be. I bet if you looked, there's like an academic study into what it is that, why some things grab you and some things don't. Like, there are some, another great example of a band that just got me from the off is Katzenjammer, who obviously we've talked about a bit on here before because we've talked about Mariana Sveen's side, Dandelion, as it is now going to be called.
Yep.
I'm not 100% sure that is not how it's supposed to be pronounced.
She's
Norwegian.
I've started pronouncing it Dundillion because there is a lady on the internet who what instrument does she fucking play? It's the hurdy-gurdy. She's called Patty Gurdy, and she plays the hurdy-gurdy.
I love a hurdy. That's a bit of normative determinism, isn't it?
Yeah, but Patty Gurdy playing hurdy-gurdy. But she's German, and when she talks, she says things funny sometimes, and for whatever reason in one of her videos she's said dandelion, but she pronounced it Dundillion. I just thought that's the cutest shit ever. I'm stealing it.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Dundillion.
Yeah, but my mate Tom, my mate Tom sent me a video of Katzenjammer playing Demon Kitty Rag from their first album, live in a radio studio, and from watching that video I was immediately like, this band are great.
Yes, I must listen to more of this.
Whereas loads of bands who sound similar, do similar things, I would be watching a video and go, nah, it's fine, I'll come back to it later.
Some bands just have that.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's really weird.
Factor. Yeah, that's weird.
So we'll move on to Chain Shot to Have Some Fun.
Great track, love it.
I like this one.
Yes.
I think I'm going to play it.
It's got some surfery vibes going.
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you what. Yeah, here it is now. Oh, it's good. It's so good. I like this one again. This is like, if this is just garage punk at its heart. There's no fucking about with this. Just that little like meow 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 meow, and like, so yeah, the guitar's going down, the bass is going up, and I honestly feel like all that's really missing for me from this is, what I've got in my head is like a sort of like just a running person, and it's against like one of those. Those like a backdrop on a rotating backdrop, and they're kind of running in a really elaborate way, like in a 1920s silent film.
Really OTT,
about
overacted.
Running. About someone who's trying to get away from the wind or trying to get somewhere and it's quite windy, and they're just like, and I'm not going to mind
the bass line, because that's what.
Running along. I can't see you, and that's. Again, do you know what it is? I really don't have much to say about these tracks individually. The sound of this was just a load of fun.
It's really fun. Yeah, and then when the chorus on it's a bit more sort of intense and noisy and stuff. I think the next track might be my actual favourite track, because I didn't pick my actual favourite track because I wanted to pick something that was representational.
Yeah.
I think the next track's my fave.
Well, this next track, like a white bat in a box, Dead Matters Go On.
Yes.
This starts so fucking horrible.
It's a great intro. I love it. Just
awful.
the screeching and the ear pain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, here we go. Here's your noise.
This is the point for me where the album starts to get really difficult to listen to. And again, I don't think I really clocked it when I was just listening casually, but when I was trying to go through it kind of more in depth, it's really hard. And see in interviews again, without being specific, Jaakko does refer to some songs as being sad, and a lot of those songs being. This is really fucking. It feels like it's.
Did you read the lyrics for this one?
I have read the lyrics for this one. This
I
one
like
actually
the lyrics
makes
for
sense.
this one. Yeah.
So this is so musically, this is the most noise rock as I understand it so far on this album.
This one's pretty intense.
This one's really intense, really hard to listen to. What I've written is fuck. This starts horribly.
Yes.
The screams are so arrhythmic. Like there is rhythm, but the screams just completely offset it, and you just lose it. Like, it's basically, it just begins with just this horrific scream, and then continues with some more horrific screams.
Yeah, and
they just carry on throughout the whole song.
The guitars are coming in, but just in the background, constantly like panning left to right. You just go ah, ah.
Yeah, it's really, really hard to listen to.
But I really like the bit in this one where it's sort of there's like this little bouncy riff that happens where she's going. First one was dead. Next one was a whatever. Third one was a freak. Who the hell wants the next one? That bit.
Yeah.
Like that little riff there is really nice.
Yeah,
actually.
no,
that's
I
quite
agree.
pleasant. But then obviously it goes immediately back into the squealing chaos. So.
Well, according to lyricsgenius.com, which is my usual go-to,
yeah,
I'm aware that it's fan submitted, so I'm sure there's at least one song on this album that there's no lyrics submitted, because they've obviously just gone,
fuck that.
No idea.
Not a clue.
But it's the first one was dead, next one was a crap, third one was killed. Is that true?
No one wants the next one.
Fourth one was a pig, fifth one was damned, next one was a freak. Who the hell wants the next one?
Just
it goes on.
Yeah. Beep, 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 beep. Just it goes on.
So,
who the hell want the next one?
But so this.
And then that, just after she does that, who the hell wants the next one? Like that guitar feedback that happens after that, just like echoed out, just growing and getting huge. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love that
And
song.
about 2 minutes in, you've got that sort of weird vocal effect, which is
so
that's what. Yeah, that's what
the David Bowie vocal effect.
Yeah. Of that again, that really powerful, that driving bass again.
Yeah.
Which kind of roots this. So it takes about 2 minutes for me to start going, okay, this is a song.
Yeah. No. It's a song again. Yeah.
It's a song again. So it's all right. I recognise this. And there's some sense of formal music here.
So it's the reason I didn't give you the album after this is because the album after this sort of is very like Cell-Scape for sort of.
Is that
maybe
Fetch? No, is that the one
after
that?
No, Bambi's Dilemma.
Oh, okay.
It's Bambi's.
I have a fact about Fetch.
Fetch is really good.
I have a fact about
you
Fetch.
should probably listen to Fetch.
This is from an interview.
Go on then.
From I haven't got the name of the interviewer.
Oh.
It just says PSF. Why did you call the album Fetch? And Jaakko says, I wanted to name the album with a word starting with F, because before that we didn't have an album starting with F, and Fetch sounds really good. Usually I pick a word that I like the sound of. I like the meaning also. Fetch has many meanings. No, it doesn't. It's got like maybe 2. I'm pretty confident it may only have 1. I don't know what else Fetch means.
Oh dear. Right.
Answers on a postcard, please.
not a clue.
So yeah, but I enjoyed that interview.
Well,
she's certainly more chatty than the.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Well, the Bambi's Dilemma sort of starts a lot like Cell-Scape, but then about halfway through the album, it just descends into anarchy.
A thing I noticed with this album was that all the songs sort of feel like they close like everyone's just tired. Like they've had 2 or 3 minutes of just kicking the fuck out of their instruments.
Yeah.
And then everyone just goes, blah, 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 blah. And I sort of was like, I totally identify with how tired you must be, because I'm tired and I've only listened to it. And you are.
Yeah, it can be a bit draining.
Did you? There's another quote that I pulled up was, "We don't rehearse our songs before we go into the studio with them," and I felt like that shows. I felt like you can feel like, but then they're so, some of them they're so fucking precise.
Yeah.
And other ones, they are not.
Yeah.
So what I've just said there is that some things are different to other things.
But it's the fact that they can be so very on point musically while not having rehearsed. But I imagine a lot of that's just done in the studio as they're recording.
Oh, in fairness, I don't know, that may actually be, because again, I tried to read interviews from around the time Cell-Scape came out.
It could be older.
I think I think it was newer.
Oh.
I think, because if you think about it...
Yeah, they wouldn't need to rehearse with two members.
They've only got the vocals and the guitarist, and then they can just chuck everything else in afterwards.
Yeah.
So actually...
I mean, it might also be true of their older material, which was a lot more like the back end of Bambi's Dilemma, a lot more of that sort of very, very abstract, noisy stuff happening.
Yeah.
And less grounded overall.
But yeah, but this one feels... so I'm just going to give you a quick... so the first sort of verse of Like a White Bat in a Box is see a white bat in a box, it's skinny like a bone, his name is Pain. What a name he got, it's pity like a loan. Where did my eyes go, he goes. Where's my cave, he goes. So I go, you don't have one. So I go, you don't have one. He just stays. Oh, that really feels quite sad.
Yeah, my favourite bit is the next verse. You default one because you are dead. So it's like the end of the second verse, I think.
Oh yeah. No, third verse. See a white skull on the wall, it's shiny like a god, his name is Greed.
Yeah, what a good name he got.
It's just like how he used to be. Where's my soul, he weeps like. Where's my gold, he rages. So I go, you just sold one. So I go, you don't need one because you're dead.
Yeah.
But see, I feel like I don't want to just sit and read out lyrics from this, but I really like the lyrics for this song. And I feel like I've skipped over the second verse despite it being my best bit.
Go on
then. See a white frog on a shelf, it's stinky like a cheese, his name is Shame. What a name he lost, it's waste like blame. When is my meal, he goes, when can I swim, he goes. So I go, you won't get one. So I go, you won't get one. And I really like the frog is stinky like a cheese. But no, I feel like there's a something in that about sadness and expectation and loss, and that's sort of how poetry is supposed to work. And as we know, I find poetry unforgivable. So we'll just move on. I haven't got much for key is a fact that a cat brings. Do you have anything to say about this?
Nope.
All I've got is long, shouty, very like previous.
Yeah. Well, if I had to critique this album, because we spoke about this before, and you made an offhand comment about it the last time we met up, not on pod, about the fact that what I do generally is I get an album, I listen to it, I shit on it, and then go, I really like that, and I was thinking about that after I'd gone away, and I was like, well, to be fair, I was doing it. I do this with every album, even albums I really love. There's always going to be something.
Well,
there's no perfection here. There's always going to be a problem with an album. And I just tend to really focus in on those things because I'm such a twat about music.
Well, no, it's totally, but it's easier. It's definitely easier to nitpick than it is to praise.
Oh yeah,
it's more interesting, I think, to nitpick than it is to praise.
Definitely.
But then the problem with that is not that I expect anyone who we critique on this podcast to get to listen to it at all.
Yeah, and then go.
But what it does mean is I literally can't send it to anyone because there's no point where you're not going, well, it's kind of shit actually, but. You know, it's really good apart from that.
I'm gonna make an effort to try and balance my critiques a little more because
I feel like I'm being unfair. But
no, I mean it's fair. But this is the thing. I will even critique albums I love deeply, and this album is no different. It's samey. It is quite. There's not a huge degree of variance in the soundscape. Even though it's a very big soundscape and they're implying a lot of weird and wonderful stuff, the tracks are quite thematically similar in terms of it's going to be noisy, it's going to be fast, there's going to be a big bass line, and they're just going to ram it down your throat, and it's going to be thrashy and aggressive, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's no more depth than that.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
There's not a lot of dynamics. There you go, that's what I'm looking for. It's not like, this is the quiet song. Because even the quiet song's really loud.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable. That's reasonable. So we've already spoken about A Hunter in the Rain to cut the neck off in the present shape.
We have.
I was tired by this point, and it was hard work to write the rest of this. There's a lovely vocal and bass breakdown at about a minute and a half in, and it is more palatable than the previous two songs, which are really hard work, for me anyway.
Yeah.
Again, hard work in the context of a long listen, or a hard, like a direct.
An analytical
Yeah,
listen as opposed to just a casual listening.
Yeah, and then really, this one felt for me this last track or last proper track.
Yeah,
took a real left turn for me.
I like this track.
If it is the deep sea, I can see you there.
Yeah.
Which, firstly, as a song title, makes sense. So that was weird, because
it's almost a formed sentence.
That's like an actual. That makes sense. I felt this was very Beatles.
It's a lovely track, isn't it?
It's a lovely song.
This is their quiet track.
Yeah,
it's not very quiet, but it is quite pretty.
Yeah. And it legitimately, like the chord progressions are like that of a pop song. It's got a fairly traditional structure, chorus, verse, chorus.
Yeah.
I like this song a lot. It legitimately makes me think of Live and Let Die in quite a lot of places. I couldn't really tell you why. What I'll do is I'll play a little bit of it now. This is the bit that makes me think of Live and Let Die.
You head to the end, into a bomb scene. So many beautiful facts, and that's what you spent in your hands. A piece of force is spinning around it, creaking, but still even as it's taken by the wind.
And again, the lyrics feel sad. I don't know if I understand the lyrics. And again, I've written, where is it? Another sad one, though I know I don't understand it. I think that's what poetry is supposed to be. This is dangerous. This comes dangerously close for me, making me going, those words seem sad. I don't know why those words seem sad. Maybe I'll understand one day, because that's what you're supposed to feel with poems. And I was like, oh shit, is the first time I'm really understanding poetry going to be a fucking Melt Banana album?
Yeah, don't be afraid.
My mother will be furious. She spent her whole life trying to instill in me the value of poetry, and I've never understood it. And in the History Boys, Richard Griffith's character does have a brief moment of sort of saying, it's not for you to understand now. If you remember it now, and then when you need it, it'll be there.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like I get that as a sentiment. Still
Don't like
hate poetry.
Yeah.
But there's a lovely couple of bits. I'll try and pick out a little bit now. Flies you spat out now become sweet maggots. You put them and save them in a can, but you suddenly smashed it down. You hear a far-off voice calling your name. You tried to go home to rest, but you know now you don't even have a home. That feels like poetry.
Yeah.
That feels like proper words that she's proper put together.
I mean,
well done, Yakko.
Yeah, good job. My favourite part about this song is the fact that Yakko runs out of Duracell at the end of it.
Yeah.
You can kiss me, good.
Yeah.
That's how the song ends.
It's
It's like her battery just went out and she just kind of went.
Well, like I say, they all the songs finish where they all just seem a bit tired, and it's totally reasonable that they do. So that's that really. There's a little bit maybe we could say about the last track is called Outro for Cell-Scape. It's about 10.5 minutes long, and it's just a big ambient thing. I don't have much to say.
It's a big ambient thing.
It's not unpleasant.
Nope.
I don't know if you have anything to say about
Not
it
really.
from a production point of view.
No,
but I
it's
don't
just
know
a big
about
washy
how
piece of ambient music.
Like, is there
it's not super interesting
well,
to me compared
is
to the
there
rest
a-
of the album, at least.
Is there a thing like? Is there an ambient scene? Is it a thing that are there bits where people who like ambient music could listen and go, "Ooh, that's nice what they've done there."
No,
Ooh, classic.
I would
classic ambient. Like,
not,
is that a thing?
No, not for this track.
But like in general though.
Yeah. I mean, there is an ambient scene.
Oh, that's a lovely use of Whale song.
I mean, look, I've actually listened to probably hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of ambient music just on YouTube, because it's what I use to help myself ignore the fact that it's still daytime and my brain's awake when I'm trying to sleep for a night shift. I'll just slam ambient music on and sit in a dark room. And
sounds like how you spent most of your university days.
Yeah, probably. Yes, that's pretty true. I think this is very atypical ambient. It's not. It's quite heavy electronic-y and it's quite noisy.
I had it again. It felt like a Doctor Who audio drama backdrop.
It's
like a sound,
especially in Japan, soundscapes, noise, ambient music have a big following and a big crossover in a lot of places. So it's not surprising to me that they did something like this.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
But so overall, general feelings? Would you listen to it again? Is it a thing, or do you just think it's too extreme, too out there?
I always
for,
feel like
for daily consumption.
it's
or
a
for-
funny one because I feel like extreme is the word that gets used for a lot of the music that you listen to, a lot of the music that you give me.
Well, it's why I've given you
But-
it, is because I thought it was interesting that I think this is maybe one of the heaviest, most ear-shredding albums in my entire album collection, and it's not even a metal album.
Yeah.
It's a rock album, technically
Yeah.
speaking.
I don't know. I always feel like extremes are such a weird word for it because I don't feel like I thought it was extreme.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I had this again with probably Cattle Decapitation in terms of like extremeness that felt like it, but again it was very like crystal clear production. You can hear everything.
Yeah.
And you know, a little bit of Strapping Young Lad when I was listening to them with Devon Townsend. That I don't feel like extreme is a word I would ever use for music. It feels like, especially when you're really trying to listen to it, because there are techniques that you can use to make it, but ultimately it's just people doing.
I think that's fair. I do think it's a weird term. It's just the most accepted term.
Yeah.
I think.
No, I don't know. That didn't actually answer your question at all.
I didn't.
I don't know if I'll listen to this again. Ask me in 2 months' time.
Okay. I
Because
mean, I think that's fair.
It's not. I will probably try and listen to some more and see.
I think you should listen to Fetch. I think
Okay.
if you, because Fetch is a bit with it being stripped back to just the two of them on Fetch. There's a lot more electronics. I don't know. I think it's definitely better than Bambi's Dilemma. Like, it's the best thing they've done since Cell-Scape. They've really stepped and taken another step towards that more pop sound, I guess, but still kept all the DNA from Mel Banana, which is it's lovely, and I think it's a really great album. So maybe give that a try.
I will certainly do that.
It's cool. I'm glad you actually enjoyed listening to it.
No,
though,
I did.
Because I was
there
a
was
bit
a lot.
worried. I was trying to sort of push you a bit, but I didn't want to have you just been like, oh god, it was horrible.
Yeah. Well, that leads nicely into my recommendation
Excellent.
for next month because I feel very like that about the album that we're going to be talking about next time.
Oh dear.
Jingle!
So, what do you feel like recommending me this month, Joe?
This one has been in the forefront of my mind for a while. It's actually at the top of my list when I first started making recommendations, like a list of stuff to give you.
Yeah.
This one is the first one I wrote down. And I don't know why that is. It must have just been something I was listening to at the time that it was in my brain.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to feel about this album.
Okay.
So I'm not going to try and
It's
describe
weird
it.
because we've just had this gush fest for the
last two that we've done have been great. Yeah.
And now, this is going to be at the end of mine actually. Yeah. So this is fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last two we've done have been a bit gushy, so it's going to be interesting because I think I've given you an album that's going to really challenge you, and I
This
feel
isn't
like
going to. I don't know if this is going to challenge you.
Well, I mean,
But it's
challenge
gonna-
doesn't have to be aggressive and noisy.
I'd be curious. I would love you to come back with as much positive about this as you can.
Okay.
So I'm going to sell it as a pop record,
Okay.
but it's quite hard pop.
All right.
But I don't know where you're going. I don't know how you're going to feel about it. I'll be curious, genuinely curious to know how you feel about this.
I'm worried.
So this is an album by, and it might be one of those ones where I say it's this, and you go, "Oh, I've already listened to them. They're shit."
Yeah.
But I hope not.
Okay.
They're a Scottish band, Glasgow band called Vukovi. These guys are female-fronted rock group, pop band. I don't really know how best to describe them because there's a lot of bands I'd compare them to, but if I did that, it would sour your opinion of them initially, and I don't want to do that. So we'll maybe talk about that a bit more next time.
Okay.
I think there's definitely some stuff in this album you'll like. I think there's probably other stuff you won't get along with. I think actually, if I mention there's a sort of dancey element to some of this, I feel like that sets it up nicely because I find this very easy to shake around to.
Okay.
And I think that's a good angle to go in with
Sure.
because a lot of the other things you could say maybe wouldn't.
Sell it as well.
Yeah. Also, it's worth seeing some of the videos for these.
I've just noticed they have a lot of videos.
They've got a good few videos. Their new single, Claudia, is just out. So this is why I'm kind of thinking about them at the moment. Like, I fucking love that. Their new single's fucking, it's a proper, it doesn't take much, as we've established, for me to get a little bit jiggly. But this really does it for me.
This really makes you wiggle.
It really does.
Okay.
It's a very much like, yeah, it's just great. I really love these guys.
Good.
And
Alright.
like I say, the fact that they've got new material coming out hopefully pretty soon is exciting for me.
What's the album called?
It's called Vukovi. So it's
Oh,
pretty.
so it's self-titled.
They only have one album,
Oh, okay.
so it's easy to find. If you find a Vukovi album, it's that one. So before we go, I'm going to play a little bit of. I feel like I always play the opening track or the opening one of the first
usually,
two tracks.
You usually go for an intro track.
But then there's a lot I could pick from this album. But I'm going to go with it opens. I think it's got a really strong opening, this album. So I'm going to play. This is a bit of La Di Da from the first track of this album. I'm going to play a bit of that now.
Love me, you wanna leave, you wanna stay, but told everyone but me. Hate me, you waste of space. I wanna know, tell me to my fucking face. So let me get this straight. You wanna stay, you wanna go, just like before.
So make of that what you will.
Oh, I shall. When I hear it.
You already did.
Ooh, theatre.
Yeah. Right, well, thanks very much for listening, everyone.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
All three of you.
In New York.
In New York. This is going to be a weird running joke that we're very popular in New York. And by doing so, we'll put off anyone that's there. Because they were listening surreptitiously, thought they were undetected.
Yeah, being edgy.
Yeah. We're underground.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks very much for listening,
we are the
guys. And
subterranean
we'll
freaks.
speak to you in a few weeks. Cheers. Bye.
The Taste Funny podcast was presented and devised by Peter McHugh and Joe McLachlan. Music was by The X-Towels.